Mad Wolf here, and PS3 controller here, and I'm gonna play some Resident Evil 2 while ranting about some stuff that people are probably just gonna argue with me about. Why? I don't know. Doesn't really serve much purpose. Kinda just wanna get my thoughts out, I guess. Sorta, whatnot, whatever. Um, so I am a Resident Evil fan. I've played Resident Evil since Code Veronica, and then I was interested how the story kind of started with the characters and whatnot. Saw the movie, and I liked the first one. I thought the second one was better. Just gonna turn the volume down just a tad here. I thought the second one was a better movie. Um, then the third one I thought was just kind of it was okay, but it was dumb. And then after that, they're just awful. Um, and I know I say a lot, but yeah. So here I am playing Resident Evil 2, which is actually my favorite of the series. Not Resident Evil 4, not Code Veronica, not 7, definitely not 7. That's a whole nother video, which I kind of got some hate on, and I don't think people really know what they're talking about. I'm entitled to my own opinion. Um, but yeah, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite. But I want to talk about 3 because what really bugs the crap out of me is on Facebook almost every day right now I'm seeing advertisements for Project Resistance or whatever. And honestly, whoops. Why did I just run into him? That was awful. Honestly, when I played the like tutorial for Project Resistance, I don't know, I thought it was okay. It was a decent looking game. Had a good concept. I mean, the thing with multiplayer games that I realized is, yeah, I'm playing this awfully. The thing with multiplayer games is I don't think you're really supposed to care too much about the story or, any of that stuff. You're just kind of there for the experience. Wait, who are you? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I can't skip that part. But, it's funny because there is so much hate on Project Resistance, and I've seen some YouTubers play it, and I'm like, no, it's not a bad quote multiplayer game. But I do think people are pissy about it because it has Resident Evil in the title or whatever. And honestly, I'm like, this is more Resident Evil than 7 as far as I'm concerned. And everyone loves 7. The only thing I really liked about 7 is you're actually adventuring the house. You're actually solving puzzles. The keys have I think they're like scorpion and spider, or they're cards or something. And I don't know, I thought that was nifty. It was a nice flashback to classic Resident Evil. But yeah, I was like, okay, these characters, these villains, they don't strike me as Resident Evil in 7. And so Project Resistance, I'm like, okay, it's got Resident Evil characters, and it's just a multiplayer game. I'm really not too into multiplayer games. The only two I really got hella into was Overwatch and Friday the 13th. Even Dead by Daylight. Everyone swears by Dead by Daylight, or a lot of my so-called friends swear by Dead by Daylight. The people that wound up stabbing me in the back and talking trash. But I didn't like Dead by Daylight. I'm not a fan of Dead by Daylight. If it had new content with all the updates and the patches, and it's not even content like, damn it, now I'm getting so far off track. Anyway, my point is, there's not a whole lot of online games that I really care about. I don't care a lot. Oh, crap, he's right off the screen. Okay. Well, that's okay, because now I can see. But yeah, I'm just not too much into online games, and I cannot justify, the frickin' PlayStation Plus subscription just to play a frickin' video game that I already bought and own. I think that's garbage. I can't stand that. That's why I don't really do a lot of the, well, anyway, like I said, I don't do online games that much. I'm not a big fan of online games. There's some that are good, but yeah, you stop breathing, give me your shotgun. I am in caution territory. But that shotgun is important. So, the funny thing is people are demanding, we want a decent Resident Evil 3 remake. And that's really what this video is all about. It's not about me playing horribly at the classic Resident Evil and just being like, oh, I don't care that I'm being eaten by zombies because, ooh, it's not scary. It's just, it's tank controls, which everyone also complains about. No, we need top-of-the-line first-person shooter Call of Duty controls for Resident Evil. Yeah, it defies the whole purpose as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so the Resident Evil 3 remake, I played it, I beat it, I still have it for PS4. And I guess you could kind of consider this a review or something. Oh crap, I'm actually out of bullets. Do the backwards, that's not the right button. What the hell? Is it select? It's the select. No, it's not the select button. What the hell is the button for your inventory? Not. Oh, it's circle. It's just, I guess there's kind of lag with my streaming device capture card thingamajigger. Come on. There we go. So, anyway, Resident Evil 3. I played the remake. I beat the remake. I still have the remake for PS4. Is it a bad game? You know, I don't think it deserves half the crap that, you know, players give it for. I do think, how do I even say that? It's not a bad game. It is a love letter to Resident Evil 3, but yes, it does feel more like an expansion to Resident Evil 2 Remake than it does a full-on new experience. And that was nice, I guess. I didn't have to pay full price for it. I kind of got it like $10 off or something through Amazon. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's no big deal. But yeah, it is a little disappointing because it feels more like DLC or an expansion pack to Resident Evil 2, maybe even one of those ghost stories. Ghost Survivors or whatever the hell that crap was called. I can't think right now. My brain is just fried. So anyway, I played it, I beat it, and what are my thoughts on it? No, it's not as good of a quote one-per-one remake as Resident Evil 2 was. Resident Evil 2 remake added new content. I think it even took some things out, but I can't think on the top of my head what that was. Because I actually beat this for the Nintendo 64 way back in the day. Believe it or not, with how awful I'm playing. But Resident Evil 3, the original, I am not a fan of. I do not want a one-for-one for Resident Evil 3 remake. The reason being is because it's a little too lengthy, a little too boring. Sure, they're doing it for to try to modernize it, or you know, they're doing it for building scares and everything. But it was somehow I got backwards. You know, they were doing it to build atmosphere and make you feel like you're in this grand city, but it was too long, and I do feel there's too much environments where just not enough stuff happened. And I do think that's when Resident Evil started getting kind of hokey, because like this, okay, yeah, I'm in the city, I'm going to the police station, you know, everything, it feels like I'm in the city. You don't need to have this opening segment this long. Well, Resident Evil 3 long. But the remake, I think they cramped it down, and they did it efficiently. Try to streamline it. That's how I feel about the remake, is it was more streamlined for action gamers and whatnot. which, yes, you could argue Resident Evil is not an action game. What am I doing right now? I'm shooting zombies with a shotgun. That sounds pretty action-y to me. It's not a point-and-click adventure. Although, interestingly, what I've always considered of Resident Evil, shabam, is it's the new point-and-click adventure. It is not a, quote, point-and-click adventure. It is a steer-and-go adventure. Because there were certain adventure games where you could pick up weapons and use them, and it's just the controls and everything, the way the mechanics worked were not fleshed out. I think I'm completely out of ammo at this point. Oh, okay, yeah, that helps. But yeah, old school adventure games, you pick up an object, you use it. There's a lot of exploration, a lot of, oh, well, this opened up, how do I go here? And I do feel Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark aren't survival horror genre, because if you play Escape from Monkey Island for the PS2, the gameplay is exactly the same as this. It's just handled differently. You don't use guns. Even when you're sword fighting, you see an animation of sword fighting, and you choose what to do. This one blended action with adventure, and it had a very nice oh crap, there's another one. I'm dead. It had very nice mystery to it, very good storytelling, and I do feel that's what I thought there's something else on this bus. I think I need a lockpick or something, if I remember. But, you know, Resident Evil had that. Resident Evil 3 didn't really have a very good story from what I remember. It's just like, hey, it's Jill. Hey, remember Jill? Yeah, she's escaping now. Yay. Yeah, because we all love Jill. I got to the police station, and I died. Yeah, the story of 3 was just kind of like, hey, I'm Jill. Resident Evil 2 is kind of going on in the background. No one cares. I'm Jill. I'm escaping. And then Nemesis comes. Nemesis is probably the coolest thing in Resident Evil 3. Does it let me play as Leon or Claire? That's weird. Because I remember in the 64 one, you actually got to choose. Maybe I'm misremembering that. Maybe it's part of a range mode. I don't know. But, yeah, so Resident Evil 3, I did not care much for the story. And if there's anything in the remake that I am pissed that they did take out, there was a really cool graveyard scene with like a mutated Earthworm deal. It was Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim versus Resident Evil. It was confirmed. I know, shouldn't laugh at my own jokes. They're dumb. Yeah, they took out the Earthworm deal. Now, the thing with Nemesis is I do think they streamlined the story of Nemesis. They actually focused on Nemesis, and I don't know, they got a little bit more into Jill's personality, because I did not even really like how the original, this was not really present in 3. There was some stuff like, what are you talking about? I just left my daughter out there. I'm gonna lock myself in the truck back and blah 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 blah. But I'm like, just leave him. And eventually you do have to come back in the game. And I was just like, man, this is just tedious and boring. And I did like in the remake, they did not make it tedious and boring. They actually made it feel like a sense of urgency to constantly move forward. Yeah, probably if I didn't miss so much, that wouldn't be a problem. But the remake, I did feel a sense of urgency, sense of moving forward. The Earthworm battle was like the only thing missing that I really hated not seeing in the remake, because I did feel that was actually really cool. Alright, I'm just gonna park it here, wait for these guys. There we go. I think this is gonna be more effective.
More effective at wasting bullets.
But like I said, I liked the remake. I thought it was okay. Did it need to be full price? No, I don't think it needed to be full price. I don't even remember. That's just it. I don't think I did pay full price for it. I think I paid like $40 to $50. And that was with free, like 2-day shipping. Granted, I have Amazon Prime and whatnot. But, yeah, I didn't need friggin', another like game to be like 7-8 hours. I mean, if you speed run these games, you're really good at them, you could probably beat them in just a couple hours to like 2 or 3. And I think Resident Evil 2, the remake, might be like that. But I don't know. Resident Evil 3 just had a lot of stuff. And I don't know. I did feel a lot of it. I don't even remember most of it. And for me, I'm like, that's bad. You don't want that in a Resident Evil game where you don't remember it. But I don't know. Resident Evil 3 remake, I do think too many people just took a dump on it. And then now that Capcom's like, okay, well, multiplayer games are all the rage. So we're doing a kind of Dead by Daylight clone. But we're putting our own spin on it. And we're doing it kind of like how we did a level in the Resident Evil 3 remake. I did, not to get into spoilers, but at the end of Resident Evil 3 remake, there is like a quick time event. I won't get into the story of what's going on, but there's kind of like a quick time event thing, and if you don't do it right, you're basically just forced to redo it. And I'm like, okay, it feels kind of tacked on. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing. That scene there was whoa crap. It was a disappointing scene. And it didn't need to be in there, but it was. So, but the thing is what I'm getting at with all of this is, it's funny because a lot of people, they're saying, oh, well, we didn't ask for this, and we didn't demand this game be made, and they made it anyway. You know what? All these frickin' crybabies. I didn't ask for frickin' Gotham Knights being made, and I will say, I don't like how it looks. I don't like the fact that Red Hood is a frickin' good guy. But I'm like, this is the developers, and if this is what people want to play, by all means, play it. Mario. Frickin' no one really asked for the original Super Mario Brothers to be made. No one asked for Resident Evil to be made. Silent Hill. I remember when Silent Hill came out, and I didn't play Silent Hill when it first came out. I read about it, and I'm like, okay. And there were people even saying, is this just Konami trying to, okay, there's too many guys, you're barfing your acid on me. There was in the comic series, or not comic series, what am I thinking? Ranting too damn much. Okay, first I'm gonna combine the bullets inside the handgun. Yeah. Then I'm gonna equip the shotgun. And then go Doomguy style on ya. Boom, bitch. I think one of them's still alive. But the funny thing is, no one asked for these games to really, quote, be made. No one asked for Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original, to be made. No one asked for it. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe they asked for it to be ported on the Dreamcast, Resident Evil 2 and 3, but not to my knowledge. I don't think I never knew anybody who had a Dreamcast. Nobody asked for these things to be done. These companies decided to do it. They took a chance with a story they liked, and they went with it. That's what I'm getting at with Project Resistance or whatever. Is I don't know. It seems like a game that they conceived, and it's not a bad game. I've seen some people play it and have fun with it on Twitch and YouTube. Granted, I don't really watch Twitch anymore. There's too many crap and but I've seen some YouTubers play it, and it looks like it can be some fun times if you have friends, which I do not. This is not a feel sorry for me. I'm just being realistic and say I have no friends play Project Resistance with me. I have no friends play Dead by Daylight with me. I don't really care because I don't really like Dead by Daylight. I miss Friday the 13th. But I don't know. It irks me that people are demanding a proper remake, and that's freaking society of gamers we live with today. Is it's like, oh no, well, we can't make anything ourselves, so we're going to make you guys do it. And I guess it really grinds my gears the most because it kind of reminds me when I was doing Wolfenstein 3D mods and people were demanding how I need to fix things or I need to go back. And then when I'm like, okay, well, if you want me to have incentive to do this, give me some damn incentive to do this. And people couldn't put out. That sounds weird. That sounds weird. What I mean put out, I mean no one was contributing through PayPal, no one was contributing through Patreon, no one was supporting my work. And I'm like, okay, well, these are free mods. So I'm making entertainment for you guys for free, but I have no real incentive to be demanded like this. So I don't know, maybe that's why I'm so butthurt about it. But it does. For me, I'm like, wow, back in the day, no one really asked for games to be made. Wait a minute, did I see something back there? For some reason, I thought I saw something underneath the thing. But I didn't. My eyes had deceived me. And I don't know, like Resident Evil 4, if fans were to demand anything, I would want you guys. I do not condone cancel culture at all. That's what really irks me about all of this. Is the whole cancel. We demand. You don't demand anything. You didn't sign petitions. You didn't do anything. You really are not putting out any work for this to be done. If I was to want to see anything, I would want to see the original concept of Resident Evil 4 come out, which was meant to be much more paranormal. It was much like Leon was going insane. There were dolls and ghost enemies. There was an old rendition I saw of, or an old version of Resident Evil 4 I saw in. I don't want to go in the garden. There looks to be bad things in the garden. But there was an old version of Resident Evil 4 I saw in, I think it was GamePro. And like they had Leon on an airship. They've made it clear he is infected. He is having hallucinations and all this crap. And in a way, like I kind of got those vibes from Resident Evil 7. But I don't know. I think Resident Evil 7 was just a VR game that they slapped together to rival PT, Silent Hills. And I would like to see the original version of Resident Evil 4 come to light. And maybe that's what they're planning with the remake of Resident Evil 4 that everyone is complaining about. I don't know. I don't work for Capcom. I'm never going to work for Capcom because they're not going to want my stupid ass working for them. Hi, Will Smith. How's it going? Bad boys, what you gonna do? I don't know. Maybe I'm just optimistic. Maybe I try to give people too much credit, developing stuff because they're putting countless hours developing entertainment for us to play. And all they ask, subscriptions aside, because I think subscriptions are bullcrap. All they ask for full price is like $60. I'm like, hey, I'm fine with putting out $60 every now and again for a new Resident Evil. But if it sucks, like I don't know. Like, I remember when Resident Evil 6 was coming out, people complained about that. And what's funny is I remember when it was coming out, people were like, oh yeah, it looks good. It's going to be survival horror again. It's going back to its roots. And I saw the gameplay and I'm like, the gameplay looks exactly the same as 4 and 5. What are you talking about going back to its roots? It looks exactly like the same thing that they have been doing. No, it's different because there's zombies. And then, yeah, sure enough, Resident Evil 6 come out, and almost everyone I knew complained about it. And I played it, I'm like, it's fine. I mean, it's a good game. It has some good action in it, has some good zombies, has some good characters. Kind of wraps up the story, which I don't know. Maybe that's what people hate. It's the idea of the story getting wrapped up, coming to a closure. Because the same argument was about Alien 3, and I'm like, if they just ended the series with Alien 3, I think it would have been fine. But they didn't. They continued it on, and now we're up to Resident Evil remakes and zeros and friggin' all this stuff, and 15 games in the series, 20 games. We use the blue key card key. Yeah, checking up ID card. I guess Will Smith gave me a card. I should have been listening, but I wasn't. Yeah, they changed Marvin, the Will Smith dude, in the remake, and I don't really care. I thought Resident Evil 2 remake, even with the changes and how it's not 100% accurate, I liked it. I thought it was cool. Resident Evil 3 remake, it didn't have to be spot on. I thought it was good. It wasn't a perfect game. Resident Evil 2 remake, I think, was perfect. Friggin' Resident Evil 3, the original, was not perfect. I did not like Resident Evil 3, the original. And hell, the quick time events that I complained about in the remake, with the ending, with the spoiler, which, no story, it's there. Yeah, they kind of have quick time events in the original where you have a choice to make, which branches out how you play the game. I did not like that. I did not like that at all. But, so anyway, I mean, that was my ranting. This went on way too damn long, about 30 minutes. God, I need a life. I do. And, yeah, I don't know. If this video just boils down to anything, I mean, anything at all, I think what it is people need to stop being fanboys about anything. Mario, freaking hell. I mean, like, my nephew is obsessed with Mario. And it doesn't even have to be a good Mario game. It's just a Mario game. But Sonic, he won't play because it's Sonic. He won't play Team Sonic Racing because it's not Mario Kart. You can't use weapons. And me and some other people were over at, my sister's house. And we're like, yeah, you get weapons. Oh, I played this in front of you before. Oh, I don't remember. That's convenient. And yeah, the groups that we have with everything, it's almost like anything that's different, anything that is not 100% what we conceive, but we don't put out the effort to create it, we're going to hate on it. And we're going to hate anything that's different. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. If you want to make games, you can make games. There's plenty of easy ways to do it. There's Doom mods that I'm not really that big of a Doom fan, ironically. But I've seen some Doom mods that is like a full-blown brand new experience. And I think, like, how the hell did they put that together? Wolfenstein 3D, that is what I was trying to do with Wolfenstein 3D, was create brand new experiences. And I kind of went completely under the radar, even though I was conceiving things that was radically different, including fatalities, and I was utilizing other people's codes, such as, oh yeah, you can have readable logs like Doom 3, And I'm like, okay, well, if we do that, we can actually have characters where you walk up to them, you press the space bar, and you can actually talk to them. And it worked, but it kind of went under the radar because people didn't want it. And it wasn't Wolfenstein 3D. Hell, I don't like the new Wolfenstein games. The New Order, New Colossus, Youngblood. It's funny, Youngblood got so much hate. I saw a YouTube review of Cyberpilot, and they're hating on Bethesda, and I'm like, Bethesda didn't even make this game. It was made by Machine Games. The whole brand new story series was made by not id Software, not Bethesda. And that's another kick. Let's hate on Bethesda. Let's hate on Electronic Arts and Resident Evil and Capcom. You know, there's some Capcom games that people told me I should play it, that they're great, like, not Dead Space, Lost Planet. During that time, Lost Planet and Dead Space came out. Those were two game series. Granted, Dead Space was Electronic Arts. But people told me, oh yeah, you need to play these. These were great. And I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like, I don't even remember Lost Planet. And Dead Space, I'm like, this is Resident Evil 4 in space. The gameplay is just like Resident Evil 4. The over-the-shoulder camera and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'd just rather play Resident Evil 4. I don't know, it's just creatures and everything. It wasn't appealing. I guess that's maybe because it's a horror. I don't know. I don't know. But, yeah, Dead Space didn't really appeal to me. I need to go back and retry it, to be honest. Alien Isolation was another one. Everyone went just crazy. Oh, this is going to be great, and it's better than Aliens vs. Predator, and it's better than Aliens Colonial Marines, and I'm just like, I'm walking. Watch me walk. Watch me walk. That was one of the first games Nicole and I bought for the PS4, and I was really disappointed because I like Alien, and I'm like, yeah, this is just boring. I'd rather just watch the movie. I don't feel like I'm in this environment because I would do more personally than just walk. And I would be the Colonial Marines. I'd be like, give me a flamethrower, and I'd probably die if I was in that situation. I'd probably die. But yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just bored here, and everyone says it's the greatest thing ever. But yeah, Resident Evil 7, I thought was another one. Everyone's like, oh, it's so good. It goes back to its roots. I'm like, there is, aside from the mansion, there is nothing here that reminds me of classic Resident Evil. Nothing. And Resident Evil 3 Remake, people hated it, and there's some things that I'm like, no, it's got some, their complaints had some good points, that there's a lot of cut content. But at the same time, I'm like, there's a lot of content in Resident Evil 3, the original, that didn't even need to be there. And I don't know, I didn't think Resident Evil 3, the original, was a very enjoyable experience. I have it for the GameCube, and that's my thoughts. Resident Evil 2, still classic, still the best remake. Resident Evil 4 remake, like I said, if they can just make it like the original concept, which there is some footage out there, I forget what it's called, Resident Evil Pre-4 or .4 or something like that, Resident Evil 3.5, something like that, but it looks interesting, like people in knight armors coming alive to get you. There was even talk that Devil May Cry was going to be the original Resident Evil 4. And with some of the camera angles and everything, I could see it, but I'm like, the gameplay is just dumb of Devil May Cry. I never really liked the Devil May Cry games. And then there was talk that either Ghost Tower 3 or Haunting Ground was meant to be Resident Evil 4, which is interesting because Haunting Ground, which I'm not going to buy that game due to some subject matter in it. Haunting Ground has a dog. That dog is supposed to be the same dog in Resident Evil 4. And it's a castle environment. And I'm wondering, I wonder if this castle is possibly the same castle in Resident Evil 4. but I like 4. I like I like 5, and 6. I liked 6. I did not like 7. I don't know what the hell's going on with 8. It looks like they're trying to redo 4. Resident Evil 8 Village just reminds me of what's already been released. I'm like, okay, this looks like it's going to be Resident Evil 4 all over again with we're not fighting zombies and we're doing stuff completely different. And I'm like, yeah, no, we've done that before. We've done that with 4. We've done that with 7. It's funny because 6, they said they're going back to survival horror. And then with 7, they're like, we're going back to our roots, but we're making it a first person VR experience where the monsters talk to you. And aside from the molded, I really did not care about the monsters. The Baker family was dumb. The Baker family was dumb. The whole, the hell is her name? Eve or Ava or whatever. The evil girl in Resident Evil 7. I'm just like, this was Silent Hill. This was not Resident Evil. This is not classic Resident Evil. And it just felt like, hey, we're going to capitalize on the fact that Silent Hills went down the crap. That's my rant. I'm done. I'm just going to click this button so that way I don't rant for another 30 minutes. Bye.